Bring your hands together. Principle of Applied Analysis.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I'm very honored to be asked to come and be able to address you, respecting the fact that I'm doing a little bit of pinch hitting. Nicole was nice enough to send me over some talking points and things that she thought may be of interest, and as I started to prepare, it seemed to me that the right place to begin was with thank you. It occurs to me that I, as much as probably anyone in this community, am a product of this group of people and the balance of the teachers and administrators at the Clark County School District. Fourth generation Nevadan, that means that my father and my mother both graduated from high school here. My mother went all the way through school here. My grandmother graduated from Las Vegas High School in 1939, and her mother graduated, and her mother graduated from what was then called the Nevada Normal School in 1912. I take a great deal of pride in this community, and I take a great deal of pride in the education that I have. And as I was preparing my comments for today, it occurred to me that so much of the opportunities that I've been given are a result of the educational experience that I had. My stepmother, who most of you probably knew, her name was Emily Aguero, was with the school district for a very, very long time. She used to take me to school with her at John C. Bass when I was about 4 or 5 years old, and it was one of the earliest memories that I had. Pretty remarkable. I remembered thinking to myself, man, this is pretty cool. This is a place that I want to be. Miss Crine in kindergarten, she was very sweet to me and taught me that education could be fun. We had those little centers. We would go from place to place. She taught me that bullying wasn't okay. I wasn't the bully. I was the guy that was getting bullied, but we got it all figured out by the time we got out of kindergarten, right? In first grade, you know, we started doing reading and mathematics. I thought, okay, this is stuff I think I can figure out how to do. I learned that I was never going to go professional as a tetherball player, although my aspirations were definitely there. Miss Judd, I had in second grade, she started to teach me more about mathematics and really gave me a real joy of math, which turned out to be something that was helpful for me. She also taught me that keeping ants as a pet and bringing them to school is something that's frowned upon at the Clark County School District. In the third grade, I had Miss Schneider. Absolutely remarkable teacher. She taught me to write in cursive, something that I think students is a bit of a lost art today. But nonetheless, she also told me that what makes us different makes us special and makes us good. She found something incredible about every student in our class and make sure that they had enough confidence to stand up and talk about what made them special. In fourth grade, I had Miss Carter. She let me be myself. I went through something of a Michael J. Fox family tie phase. I decided I would bring a briefcase and wear a little tie when I came to school. Yes, that was a little bit ridiculous, but nonetheless, she was a remarkable teacher and one that I have affinity and still talk about still today. Fifth grade, Mr. Gray and Ms. Gugino taught me to embrace school, taught me that working hard was what was necessary. In the third grade, I was what was then referred to as the Reading Improvement Program. I was not a good reader. I've always struggled with that, although I've gotten better at it over time. By the time I was in fifth grade, I was tested for the Academically Talented Program because Ms. Schneider recognized I had a problem, because Ms. Carter worked with me on it, and because Ms. Gugino and Mr. Gray believed that I could do better than I was doing then. For that, I am eternally grateful. I am also eternally grateful for family. When I took the academically talented test, they went through a bunch of things. I was at the very last point of the test. I was one question away from either getting into the program or not getting into the program. And the last word that I had to be able to recognize was a word called pseudonym. And there's a woman here in Las Vegas, many of you may have known. She's like an aunt to me. Her name is Pat Mulroy. She was hanging out at our pool one time and quizzing me relative to all of these words, and she taught me the word pseudonym just the summer before I had taken that exam. If it wasn't for family and friends caring and educators extending that, I never would be where I am today. I was bused 45 minutes across the community to Joe Mackey for 6th grade. It was a positive experience. However, it has always stuck with me that education is not always equal. And that is something that I think is something that we have to consider and always move forward. I think we've made great strides in the last 30 years relative to that, but it has always stuck with me as I've been invited to go to different schools by trustees. Those things have been remarkable. In junior high school, I found out that I really wanted to hang out with the kids that were in the accelerated classes. Those were where the middle was moving up. I didn't want to be somewhere else. It provided me that opportunity. In high school, Barbara Crawford, my English professor, who I will never forget, God rest her soul, she was a wonderful, wonderful woman at Valley High School. She taught me to find my inner voice, right? And not be scared of it. To write the things that I said and say the things that I thought, because that was okay to do. It was okay to have my own thought. I left Valley High School. I went to the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, where another teacher, a gentleman by the name of Shannon Bybee, encouraged me, took me under his wing, and actually told me to come into his classroom every single day, or excuse me, every semester to come in, because he wanted to know what classes I was choosing. And it wouldn't matter what classes I actually put down on that little piece of paper. He would scratch them all out and change them to ones that were much harder than the ones that I wanted to have. He was a wonderful, wonderful human being. He cared. People had looked out for him, and he had done the same. Shannon taught me that we all have a responsibility to leave this community better than we found it. We have a responsibility to pass it on. I left UNLV and I went to law school because Shannon made me promise him that I would. I never planned to practice law. I've never practiced law. I've never sat for any type of postgraduate exam or anything along those lines. But the law has taught me a great many things. That law school is a remarkable feat, just like this building that I am so honored to be standing on this stage at, taught me a great number of things about how we can work within the system and how we can change it. Right? That is where I feel like we are today. We are in a bold effort to try and improve our condition as a community as we fight with growth and we deal with the problems that have been systemic. It is unfortunate to note that we have neglected our education system for the better part of a generation, and now we are shocked and stunned by underperformance in some areas. We cannot have an expectation to under-resource and underpay and under-dedicate and not pay sufficient attention to our public schools and then expect superior performance on the back end. That said, I don't know when it occurred. And maybe it just occurred because I opened my eyes or because I was involved in some meeting. But I don't know when it occurred that the superintendent or that teachers or that administrators got cast in the role of villain. I don't know when it was that legislators decided that they could substitute their judgment for the judgment of people who educate people every day and people who are hired to do that, who have made it their life's work, know better how to educate children than the people that are in front of those children every single day. I don't know when exactly that happened. But what I can tell you is this. I can tell you that I do believe that this state and this community are coming together. I do believe that the opportunities that are presented by the fact that we are having a more transparent discussion about our problems, that we are understanding what the shortcomings are and we are trying to identify solutions. We are not there yet, and I will talk about some of those today. But I don't want to leave you with the impression that I am not optimistic about this community, that I am not optimistic about the Clark County School District, that I am not excited about the fact that I have 3 children, all of which will be educated or have been educated in this Clark County School District, and that I believe that their promise is just as great as any student coming out of any school anywhere in the United States. And for that, I am infinitely thankful to the people in this room. I was asked to come and speak just a little bit about what we're seeing in the economy, the fiscal system, what you can expect on a go-forward basis. I think that is a relatively straightforward conversation to have. We have transitioned from a period of decline to a period of expansion. There's a lot of uncertainty going on relative to what's happening in Washington, D.C., and I continue to believe that the office of the president is more important than the person who holds that office. And sometimes that's a bit difficult to see, and sometimes we have differences of opinion. Slowness, argument, dissent is the way the system is supposed to work. The newspapers, the media have sensationalized so much of the debate that's going on. Right? The social media that's out there, the way in which we communicate with folks has made it faster and shorter, and we don't always have a conversation about what is on page 2. But all of that having been said, the structure of the United States economy is clearly stable. Today, there are more people working in the United States of America than at any point in our history. Today, the United States of America is producing more than any point in our history. All of the instability that went on during the Great Recession, the recession that we now refer to as great, and it was difficult, and a lot of people lost their jobs, and I don't want to minimize any of that. All of that strife that occurred, all of it, where did people from all over the world put their money when they had to go somewhere? They put it in the United States. Where do people that have the option to send their children when they have to go to college, where do they send them? They send them to the United States. Now, maybe we'll say it differently. Maybe we can look at what we're doing and we can be our own worst critic. But if we're going to think about it in that way, maybe we're the best of the bad places to be on planet Earth, because everybody has problems, and we accept that. But if we are creating jobs, if we are creating economic opportunity, if we are expanding, and today we are at the full rate of employment, which means that everybody who wants to have a job has a job. And while some of that continues to be underemployment, while our skill set continues to be lagging because the economy is innovating faster than we can build the skill sets up, we are making strides in that direction. Everyone from career and technical academies to those that are doing internships and apprenticeships to everything that the College of Southern Nevada is doing to train people to be ready to enter that workforce are helping. We made some 25 different changes. I don't mean to sound presumptive. The state legislature and the state made 25 meaningful changes to education over the past, in 2015 and a little bit after that. The reality of that is that is going to take 10 to 15 years to actually show its ability to manifest in terms of the students that are ultimately coming out of the Clark County School District or any other school district that has made similar types of changes. That is just the reality of it. And as much as we like the idea of micromanaging the schools and schools across this country, the reality of it is that there's also the other side of that equation, which is essentially reform fatigue. We need to give some of these plans the opportunity to work and focus on the things that we're doing right and minimize the things that we're doing wrong. That is not a Nevada problem. That is not a Clark County School District problem. That is a United States problem. The economy is moving quickly. It is a rapid evolution in terms of what companies like Switch and Tesla and Google and Microsoft, what they need and what they require. Even if we had it perfect today, 5 years from now, it would not be perfect anymore. But these United States, the education system that exists, is making efforts to move that ball down the field and improve that. Here at home in the state of Nevada, things are even better than they are in the United States. We tend to think about it in terms of the big three: population growth, employment growth, taxable retail sales or consumer spending growth. All of those are at or near the highest level they have ever been. And what does that mean for the Clark County School District? That means that more students are coming. That means that classes are going to be increasingly crowded based on the way that we fund our schools. That means that we are going to have additional challenges, not only from the students like me that went from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade in the system, but the ones that are coming from other areas. These are the realities. Some of them will come and they won't speak English. Some of them will come and they will have education problems. Some of them will come and they will be remarkably talented, and they will help us continue to grow and develop this community. Our diversity is an asset. The people moving into this community provide a way to leverage that asset and continue to grow it. This community is geared for growth. We don't have a choice. People are coming for two reasons. Number one, they're coming to get a job. Number two, they're coming for retirement. Those ones that are coming to get a job largely are small starting families, those type of things, right? Which is a little bit of a dichotomy, because people that are retiring don't always like kids. That's always a problem. No, but we'll deal with it, right? We will deal with it because that's who we are. You'll remember, for those that have been here for a while, you'll remember back in 2006, we were talking about not having enough employees. We were talking about not having enough concrete and glass to build all the casinos and hotels. We were talking about building the Ivanpah Airport because we were going to run out of capacity at McCarran International Airport in not too far into the future, and we couldn't stop that. All of those same problems are coming again. We have an affordable housing problem, which I'm sure is making it remarkably difficult for your teachers and for those you are trying to recruit. We have got to solve that problem. We have a capacity problem in terms of having enough employees. We are 10,000 employees short in our community today in terms of construction-related employment. But nonetheless, population is growing. We are adding jobs in almost every sector of the economy, which is positive for us. And taxable retail spending, which suggests that consumers are consumers again, is at the highest level we have ever seen in the history of the state of Nevada. That is good for us, and it is something that we should embrace in terms of our prosperity. That having been said, you've read in the newspaper, I've read in the newspaper, the Clark County School District and other state and local governments has a budget problem, has a budget shortfall. And as we think about that, we think about how in the world can these two things coexist? How is it, Jeremy, that you can stand up here and tell us the economy is doing well, consumers are spending money, housing prices are going up, people are getting jobs, wages and salaries are rising, and yet you're going to tell me that the revenues that give rise, the revenues that support the Clark County School District's budget are underperforming? How can these things be possible? And the answer is they absolutely can, because the way we fund education in the state of Nevada is nothing more than a shell game. And I hate to tell you that. And it's been that way since I've been doing what I've been doing in 1997. It was one of the very first projects that I ever worked on, was the Governor's Task Force on Tax Policy. And we evaluated what is known as the Nevada Plan and the distributive school account. And I'm not even going to start to go through that, because that would be almost as painful for you as it is for me. But let me assure you of one thing. It is a circular funding formula that is always intended to ensure that there is never a surplus in education, and when deficits come in, that the state and elected officials that make those type of decisions have the ability to move things around to either create a benefit or not. That is the reality of it. Our state's education system is funded through two primary revenue sources. One is local school support tax. It's a portion of your sales tax. The other one is property tax. In 2009, we put on a series of abatements onto property tax for all of us that own a home. This has been terrifically wonderful, right? We see that our property taxes don't go up very much. But this year, the Clark County School District will lose literally hundreds of millions of dollars because all of us are receiving a tax abatement. It is not Faraday Future. It is not Google. It is not Tesla that is the reason for those tax abatements. It is you and I. It is us sitting in this room can do that. And I will tell you that this was known. This is not a surprise to anyone that this is what was going to happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I would like to tell you when we think about the fiscal system is, will there be growth? Will taxable retail sales go up? Yes, they will. Will property values go up? Yes, they will. Will this lead to significant increases in the funding for education in the state of Nevada? No, it will not. I would implore you to galvanize, to unify around making real and meaningful changes to the way in which we fund schools in the state of Nevada. The Nevada plan needs to go. The distributive school account needs to be revised and be more reflective of how schools need to be funded today. If I am paying money that is called the local school support tax, and that money falls out of the bottom of that budget, I would like to know that those one-shots, that surplus, should be available to fund one-time appropriations for schools. If I am paying the majority of my property tax and it says school capital and it says school operating, I don't want to hear that any of the money that's falling out of the bottom of that is redirected into the state's general fund and used for some other purpose. I will tell you that there is, thank you. I will tell you that there is not only an increasing momentum among the folks in Carson City, but also an increasing understanding. This was designed to be intentionally opaque. It was designed to be difficult. It will take time to get people to understand that these changes need to be made. Now, I don't know how hard, look, I know how hard every one of you work. I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't know if people know how hard that Pat and Nicole work up in Carson City to try and educate people about these changes. The only word that I can come up to explain it is tireless. A tireless effort to try and get people to understand it. But for those who represent you and the folks who work for you every day, they have also got to change their focus. The reality is, if we look at something and we say, oh, look, the state legislature gave us raises. They put it into the distributive school account without any understanding whatsoever of the totality of that account and how it works and the somewhat of look over here, don't look over there nature of that account, while at the same time requiring an ending fund balance that if your household maintained $10 in your bank account, or my business maintained $100 in my bank account, given the fact that there is instability in things like property tax and imperfection in things like taxable retail sales, who is left holding the bag? When property taxes come in slightly under expectation, who is left holding the bag? When sales tax come in slightly under expectation, who is left holding the bag? The answer is teachers and the students in those classrooms. And the reason where we see it manifest is the fact that every year class sizes get larger, because that is the only leveraging mechanism that we have to balance the budget, is to jam more kids into every classroom. Ladies and gentlemen, that is unacceptable for the state of Nevada. We have got to find a way to fix it. From an economic standpoint, our community is doing well and will continue to do well. From a fiscal standpoint, we will continue to improve, but the prosperity of our economy will not be equaled by the prosperity of our fiscal system. If we do not fix it, it will be a continuing problem. The jobs that will continue to be created in this state, and I think we owe a debt of gratitude not only to Governor Sandoval, but also to a gentleman by the name of Steve Hill, who has changed the perception of the state of Nevada, who has completely changed it from an economic development standpoint. We in this state have created 10,000 new employers since 2011. Call Governor Sandoval good, call Governor Sandoval lucky. I don't care. He's probably both. He is a remarkable governor who cares about the future and has done a great many things for this school district and for this state. That will be the driving force that pushes this economy forward. During the economic downturn, we had an economic problem first. We had a fiscal problem second. Today, we have fixed the economic problem. Let me be clear about this fact. We are no longer in recession. We are clearly in expansion. We have $15 billion worth of projects that are planned, proposed, and under construction, and everybody other than, I think, my brother-in-law has a job, right? I didn't say which brother-in-law, just to be clear, in case anyone knows them. This will create opportunity, but the continuation of that opportunity, absent a legitimate, long conversation about how we fund schools so that every 2 years we're not arguing about 2%. We're not arguing about one pupil. We're not arguing about one program. But we are arguing about how to get this school district and this state from where it is today to a leader in education in this country. And I think that is within our grasp, and we are at least taking steps in that direction. Respecting the fact that my time is about coming to an end, I do want to do two things. Number one, I want to thank the Clark County School District for everything that they have done, and all of you for what you have given me. I also do want to extend the thanks to the most important teacher in my life, who is my wife. She is a first grade teacher at Wolf Elementary. And she reminds me every single day that being a teacher is not necessarily a job or profession. It is a calling. And for so many of you, people say the children are our future, you are our future. I think an equal part of that is the folks who have made the decision, made the commitment to commit so much of their time, energy, their love, and frankly, so much of their money to educating the students in this community, including my children. With that, thank you very, very much.